In the last two videos, we spoke about why God created this world and what our purpose is here. But that raises a deeper question. What happens after we fulfill that purpose? Do we just die and that's it? So we have covered that God, being perfect and maximally good, wants to bestow maximal goodness. In order to do this, he needed to create a creature that could receive this goodness. What is the maximal goodness that this creature could have? Well, God is maximally good. God can give this creature qualities that mimic the qualities that God has. Now, God's infinite, independent, self-contained. None of these can be given to the creature because a creature by definition is none of these. But God is self-determined, and so he can give a creature free will, which mimics self-determinedness. Through this free will, we can develop moral characteristics that God identifies with. And in this way, we can become more and more like God. And when we become more and more like God, we possess more and more goodness because God is maximally good. But in order to cultivate those moral qualities, there needs to be a recipient. And that recipient for us is physicality, the physical world and our physical bodies. And so our goal is to use the physical for godliness. And that's essentially the purpose of why this world was created. If you aren't clear on this, I encourage you to watch this video. But is that it? What happens when we die? Will we lose all the goodness that we possessed on earth? The answer is no. Think back to why God created this world, to bestow maximal goodness. The ultimate goodness is the world to come, which is like heaven. It's eternal closeness and attachment with God. This is the ultimate purpose, the ultimate goodness that God bestows upon us. As the sages teach, one moment in the world to come is greater than all the life in this world. It's not exactly more pleasure, but a different quality of experience that is just better than anything that we can imagine. In fact, infinitely better than anything that we can imagine. So this raises a question. If the world to come is the ultimate good, why didn't God just give it to us from the beginning? Why did he create this world? If he wanted to bestow the ultimate good to creatures, and the ultimate good is the world to come, why didn't he just give us the world to come? The answer is that the world to come, heaven, becomes even more good, even more of a reward, because God chose to partner with us in this world. And here's what we mean. There are two main explanations for why God didn't just give us the world to come, why he created this earth if his goal is to bestow maximal goodness. The first is that free bread is a bread of shame. Imagine someone gives you a $1,000 check. Your first question is, why are you giving this to me? He says that he just wants to give it to you. Okay, you accept it. Great, you now have $1,000, but you can't help feeling a little uncomfortable. You didn't do anything to deserve that $1,000. You may even feel embarrassed at having accepted the $1,000. So that discomfort at having received something that you didn't earn is what we mean by free bread is a bread of shame. We cannot fully appreciate something if we did not earn it. So that is in part why we're here, to earn the world to come. But then the objection arises, why couldn't God have just created it so that we receive the world to come without feeling the shame? Why can't he just make it so that we don't feel that shame? And so here's the second explanation. Remember what this reward necessarily is. It is eternal attachment, closeness to God, because God is maximally good. But closeness depends on our relationship. And not all relationships are the same. Think about the head of the factory, the CEO, and the factory itself. There's not really a relationship between the CEO and the raw materials in the factory. The raw materials have no choice. They are used to further the CEO's project, but they aren't in a relationship with the CEO. And so this resembles the relationship between God and any part of creation that just simply follows its programming, like animals and plants. They are connected to God in that God created them and they do God's will, but there isn't anything deeper than that because that's what they're programmed to do. They don't have any free will to do otherwise. Now think about the relationship between the CEO and the factory worker. The worker chooses to show up to the job. He chooses to do the job. He chooses to follow the plan that the CEO has willed for him to do. This initiative from the factory worker creates a real relationship between him and the CEO. Because this factory worker could have chose to do otherwise. He could have decided to do a different job or to do something else. But the worker instead decides to help further the CEO's project. And so similarly, God has given us instructions on what he wants to be done. He has also given us the free will to follow those instructions. And so we build a relationship with God when we freely do the will of God. This relationship is deeper than between God and the animal, between the CEO and the raw materials. But there's an even deeper level. The worker who just follows instructions has a relationship to the CEO, and it's a good relationship. But the one who understands the mission, believes in the mission, and thinks about how to best carry it out has a different kind of relationship to the CEO. And so similarly, both relationships are great, but this person's relationship to God is of a different quality than the person who just merely carries out the orders. And all people can partake in this deeper relationship. When we freely develop the moral characteristics with which God identifies, we develop a greater relationship to God because then we can relate to God better. We become a little bit more godly. And so this is in part why God didn't just give us the world to come. A relationship is built. The world to come is necessarily an attachment and relationship to God. And so God gave us this world to be able to partner with Him in a shared mission to be able to fulfill the purpose that God has originally set for it. And this becomes the greatest relationship possible, a partnership. And so this point also kind of explains the bread of shame. It's not just that we would feel uncomfortable having received something that we didn't earn, but rather the closeness wouldn't be as real and personal if we hadn't built that relationship to God ourselves. So now let's quickly review to make all of this make sense. God, being perfect and maximally good, wants to bestow maximal goodness. Obviously, maximal goodness is anything that is like God or attached to God, because God is maximally good. And so He could just create creatures that become attached to Him. But this attachment wouldn't be as good, as fulfilling, if He didn't create this world and allow us to become partners with Him in fulfilling a shared purpose. If He didn't allow us to develop His moral characteristics with a godly quality free will. So anyway, the last two videos were mainly focused on our purpose in this world and this world's purpose. But I thought that I should mention that the ultimate purpose, the ultimate good, is the world to come. And this world is in part a means to that end. I've always kind of thought that we should just focus on this world because that's all we can control right now. And that's why I made those last two videos. But I also realized that the world to come serves as a great motivator for many people. So I thought that this video would be very relevant for many. Anyway, I hope this clarified some things, and I hope I explained everything right. Thank you, as always, for watching.